Hey there, and welcome to U Talk. We connect with extraordinary people across Canada and ask them about their stories, passions, and experiences. I'm your host, Ryan Funk. Last winter, U Multicultural hosted an ethnic music concert series, inviting artists of all backgrounds to share their music. One of those groups was the Dust Rhinos. The five-piece Celtic rock group has seen members come and go, but the current roster is a tight-knit group of friends ready to perform traditional airs, reels, and jigs, and have fun doing it. So let's meet up with the Dust Rhinos, Manitoba's premier party band.
So this is Ryan Spracklin. Hey, plays mandolin and fiddle. This is Darren Wittmann on drums and jiggery pokery stuff. Jiggery pokery. Ivanka Wtkin on fiddle. Dan on accordion and bass, Dan Cannon. And I'm Blair McEvoy. I play drums, Warren, guitar, and do the singing.
So how did you all come together? And most importantly, how'd you come up with the name the Dust Rhinos?
That's after 30 years, it's still our most asked question. And it was an old Far Side cartoon. Roberta takes on a dust rhino. And we were looking for a name, and we didn't like any of them. And then a friend remembered that old cartoon and said, "What about the Dust Rhinos?" And everybody loved it. So it went.
It was a very smart decision at the time. It was pre-internet, but if you had to pick a band name now, like you got to hop on Google and see if it's used all over the place. Dust Rhinos you're lucky it's pretty original.
Yeah.
If you do a Google search on Dust Rhino, you're gonna.
I'm sure that lots of kids in their garage somewhere are going, "Let's call our band the Dust Rhinos," and then they search and say, it's already a band of old guys called the Dust Rhinos. We started off as a three-piece busking unit. We played down at the Forks, and then another friend came along, and we added them. And then the lady who owned the Toad and the Whole pub saw us, and she said, "Well, you have to come and play at my pub." And so we went and we thought, well, geez, we're going to need more songs and maybe a bass player and stuff. So we added another person to the band, and we got there, and the space to set up was about 8 feet by 6 feet deep. And so there was 6 of us at this time, and we're all standing on top of each other. The best time we ever had. It was hilarious fun. And then we thought, well, we should maybe do this more often. And so it kind of started from that. And then the sound went from being just kind of real acoustic, traditional songs, but played really, really fast. Then once we had a bass player, we thought, well, we need a drummer. And so Darren came on board Darren's the original drummer from the Dust Rhinos, although we've had 3 drummers because he took a little hiatus to have children, which he wouldn't break. He doesn't look like he's had any at all. And and then came back after, and we added Dan on bass. Dan played with a band called Men in Kilts, who we loved. And when our bass player left, about 2 months after Men in Kilts?
Yeah,
Men in Kilts had stopped playing, and I phoned Dan, and he worked nights at the time, so he was away, but his wife Jen said, "Yeah, he'll play." So I made a deal with Jen that Dan would be our bass player. And then just it's 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
Or will it be coming up on 5 years?
2018.
We're coming up on 2018.
Where is it now?
Ryan and Ivanka joined the band for fiddle and mandolin, fiddle and to play all the pretty bits for us. And and so it's been going on. I guess we've had probably about 17 Dust Rhinos over the whole life of the band. But
You're the OG.
I'm the original one. It's a good job I came up with the name and signed the paperwork for it. But yeah, Dan, you've been with the band now 14 years.
Almost 15.
Almost 15 years. And Darren, like 20 years on 2 separate occasions and tours of duty. I also made the deal for him to come back with his wife.
Yeah.
we were looking for a new drummer, and Darren just happened to be at the show with his wife, and I saw him, and I went over on our first break, and I said, "Hey, we need another drummer. Our drummer's leaving, and we need another drummer." And his wife said, "Oh, Darren will do it." So I made a deal with Trish and our drummer again.
She may regret that decision. She was probably thinking it was just like whatever, a couple months, a year or two.
Yeah, that was 10 years, 12.
Whenever Danny isn't add a couple more.
Yeah, so that was like 16 years ago.
There's a lot of history to this band, and you've had people come in and out. How would you say your sound has evolved over the years to what it is today?
Well, I think like we started off just playing trad, just acoustically, really guitar based, and then we started adding like more traditional instruments and that. And then every time a new person comes to the band, they bring new stuff to the band, and we all like so many kinds of music. It's like Ivanka brought a whole new set of tunes and ways to do things when she came, as did Ryan. Ryan played a different style than we've ever had in the band before too, which has added like a whole new layer to things. And Darren's a blues guy at heart, and so he doesn't get any of the stuff he wants. But he still sticks around anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, he still brings that influence to what we're doing.
Where it used to be maybe just like trads and Celtifying them, playing them fast and upbeat, and being a party band, and things have evolved. Like some of us have gotten older, some of us are younger. But like when we record, we're writing our own music. It's changed a bit too, in that maybe it's not always just straight Celtic. Like there's a different feel to some of it. The instrumentation stays the same, like where we're gonna have fiddle and mandolin, accordion, bass, drums. It's gonna have that feel to it, but I think it's evolved and expanded, so it's a wider range of influences of music that comes out.
Yeah, very definitely.
Yeah.
Like when we would sit down to record an album before, it'd be like, well, let's get 10 great party tunes together. And now it's like, let's just get 10 really great songs and play those. And like Darren said, we're writing most of our own material now. And it's been 30 years, your focus changes over that time too, you go through a lot of life in that time. And when we first started this band, Celtic music wasn't the big thing, and then it became the big thing.
Yeah.
And now it's not the big thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like we've lived through a cycle and a half
Yeah.
of Celtic music, and we haven't really always played Celtic music anyway. It's really what we're known for, mostly because I think when we started, at one point there was 12 Celtic bands in Winnipeg, and now there's mostly us, and I think that's just because we just enjoy playing music together, and because we also haven't just stuck in that one little genre. It's kind of, I would say, more roots and folk.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean,
punk.
if you look at your more famous Celtic rock bands, I mean, the genre of Celtic rock has really only existed a little bit longer than the Dust Rhinos have existed. I mean, it's relatively new genre, if you want to use that term. So when you start coming at it and it evolves into, it's going to be people trying different things. When you think of all those other groups, they move on and to a different vibe, a different feel, because Celtic has kind of become a thing that everybody loves. So why not build on that and use those influences from other things to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more relatable.
Yeah, diversify it a little bit.
Yeah.
So how would you describe Celtic music? How does it tie back to like the Emerald Isles and Ireland?
Well, Celtic it's not just Ireland, really. Yeah. It's sort of the British Isles, like Wales, Scotland, Ireland, and then of course, like during the famine and stuff, people left and immigrated to America and like all over the world, but they took their music with them when they went. And then like a lot of the Appalachian music and stuff like that was heavily influenced, Zydeco and stuff, heavily influenced by Irish music and stuff. And so it is kind of cyclical that it goes out and it meets other stuff and it mixes around and it comes back a little different. And I think it's, you know, traditional Celtic music is sort of the gift that area of the world give to the rest of the world. Like if you go to Nova Scotia or New Brunswick or like any of the East Coast provinces, Newfoundland, there's a huge amount of Celtic music, but they don't consider it Irish. It's like Newfie music or it's East Coast music.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's, I had a friend who once said, you know, like, kick over a rock by a pub and you'll find an Irishman anywhere in the world. So I guess that's, you know, the music really spread all around the world.
Yeah. What's great about the tradition of it too is that there's a lot of tunes, but you know, definitely a handful of tunes that I know you and I know that if you go to anywhere that plays that anywhere close to that style of music, if there's like, you know, actual tunes being played and accompanied by, you're going to be able to, like, St. Anne's Reel is probably a good example. Like, it's a traditional Irish tune from long time ago, before any of the, you know, colonization happened. And then as things moved through the world, like, you can play that tune and almost everybody knows it. Doesn't matter what genre of music that they play.
I've sat in on jams in Australia, in France.
Yeah, exactly.
A group in Brittany. Everywhere, and everyone kind of knows a lot of the same stuff. What's cool about that too, though, is Canadian written Celtic music is like super popular.
Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah, like I would even argue slightly more than maybe where it's originally from in some cases, right?
Absolutely.
It's just cool how like a genre or a style of music can just kind of spread out and become its own unique thing over like a period of time.
The thing is, you're talking about a lot of time with this too, like it's hundreds of years, right? Like we play a couple of songs that are hundreds of years old.
Oh yeah, sung by the Sailors in America. Yeah,
I guess what is that feeling playing those kind of like old or like those songs with history versus some more newer music that you've created yourself?
It's interesting because they fit in. Like,
well, you're telling Canadian history with so many of them.
Yeah, like it really is all just about telling stories.
Yeah,
and you know, our songs pretty much all tell a story. We write story songs for the most part. You know, so it's just a little more updated, a little more modern story is all.
Awesome. So that's probably why that kind of style of music is really good for kind of a pub atmosphere. So, like as you're hanging out, having drinks, someone's just telling this evocative story in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the favorite things about it is it doesn't even matter if I'm on the stage and I'm playing just a jig or a reel, but mostly it's the jigs that get them. So they'll be playing just a nice lilty jig, and people will be walking in And even if they're kind of making fun of it, I still got them to dance. You know? Even if to get somebody just kind of hopping and bipping and bopping, even if they're kind of teasing or like they're making fun of it and everything like that, I still made you dance.
Yeah.
You got them.
Exactly, and it's just it's catchy. It's stuff that people just enjoy listening to.
It is funny though too. Like I sometimes forget not everyone is as immersed in this kind of music as I am. Like you see people who are like, "Oh, you're doing like a thing," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess it is like a thing to you," but it's just what I've been doing for so long. It just kind of feels normal.
One time, it was an online music competition, and a friend of mine was entering a couple songs. He says, "You need to enter some songs in this. It'll be hilarious because you get feedback about your songs." And so I put a song in called Sally Brown, which is an old sea shanty that we played, and we added a tune to the end of it, and we sped it up way faster than it would ever be as a sea shanty. And it was a real kind of Celtic rocker. And it went into this competition, but the audience for this competition was pretty young people, like probably 15 to 22 was the age range. And the comments were all like, "Is this pirate music? What's going on? I've never heard anything like this." And it was like blowing their minds because they couldn't put a label on it because the label was too old for them. and
Pirate music is good.
Again, it was like it's the kind of thing where, like Dan says, you forget that not everybody just knows it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, these are kids that have been listening to pop music all the time, and then they got this competition thing sent to them where they got a bunch of free songs, and then they got one from this band from Winnipeg. And went, "What?"
The closest they get to folk roots is like Mumford and Sons.
Yeah. Oh, this was pre-Mumford and Sons.
Right.
That was prior to the TikToks craze.
It was, yeah.
Before the
Now everybody knows a sea shanty.
Yeah. So, what is each of your favorite aspects of performing?
I'm going to go first on that one because it's kind of a funny thing for me. Like I love being on stage and performing, but my favorite thing about playing like shows is having a reason to get together to practice because you got to get ready for it. So I think for me, my favorite thing is just the social aspect of being with people and making music together. You know?
I think that's the biggest thing. It's like connecting with these people in the group, in the room, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
When we play off, like that's the people, I can't often see out into the crowd or the stage, but I can see who's on the stage with us.
My favorite thing, I have two favorite things. My favorite thing is when we're playing one of our songs and people are singing along to it in the crowd. It's like, and especially when it's like, it's one thing if it's in Winnipeg, but it happens in lots of other places too. And it's like, holy crap, they know this song. And what a panic. It's like, do I know all the words? I can't fake it here. And, but then my other favorite thing is there's a part in every song just about where someone does something. Like someone has a part that they play. It's on purpose.
Okay.
No, it's on purpose.
Really screw it up.
And it's like, and when we're playing it, it's great. And it's like, and then I look over and I see like Dan or Ivanka like rocking out on this part, and it's so cool. And I always think it's like, man, this is awesome. I'm up here, and these like guys are really good. It's just really fun to play. And the whole thing that Dan said about just getting together, like there's a lot of times we'll get together to rehearse and it's like, after a couple of hours, it's like, should we play a song?
For a while, it usually ends up happening.
COVID has definitely made that worse. Sometimes it's few and far between. So then when we do get together, we get out instruments, but you may not strum or pluck a note for an hour.
An hour.
Oh, and then this thing happened, and then remember this thing happened.
Because like we're all friends, and
We have 3 group chats.
and
3.
we had to make a separate group chat to just put business things in because we would talk about a possible gig, but it would be so far up the group chat because we'd talk about whatever was happening on the day.
Yeah, here's the set list. Okay, where's the set list? Hold on a second.
Where is it?
Yeah, I can tell that you have great chemistry and a great dynamic, and it's probably really good to be in the same room, kind of gathering together, socializing, because it's been so long. We've been through such an ordeal for such a long period of time now.
We really should have gotten together like last night, just us, to practice for this. So we're a little bit Nimroddy tonight because we haven't seen each other since December.
Yeah, the beginning of December.
Yeah, December 9th was the last time we were all together.
Yeah.
I've seen Ryan since then.
Yeah.
And everybody else, we've just been online together.
Group
Yeah.
chats.
Yeah.
At least we're talking at least 3 or 4 times a day, though.
Yeah.
At
At
least.
the very least. Sometimes I just pull out my phone. It's like 75 messages.
I shut off the notifications. I gotta get some work done.
Yeah, so it must have been a real challenge then through this whole pandemic. Were you able to perform at all, or has it kind of all been on a hiatus?
We got to play a couple of neat
West
shows.
End.
We did the West.
Yeah.
We played St. Patrick's Day at the West End, an online show, and it was us and 4 robot cameras.
And a guy named Sam.
And
And we were facing the opposite direction. So
Yeah.
the audience area was behind us. So it was to the back of the stage, towards a brick wall. Very weird.
Yeah. It was weird.
Yeah,
But I was going to talk about, like, one of the first gigs we were able to do was just a way to get some money to the Park Theater.
Yeah.
In the summer, when they kind of let people do a few things, and so we had a show at the Park Theater, and there was, I don't know, like
80 people. they
80
were allowed to
people.
have.
They were at their tables, wearing masks, like the whole thing. We were like removed like way far up stage, but the people who are suffering most are the venues. Like, as there's people not being able to get gigs, but the venues, like, they need people. They need larger amounts of people to group together, and so that was really a nice thing. One of the highlights of the pandemic gigs, I think, was being able to help them out.
we've done what we can, like, with still following the rules. Like, there's been, it's been a roller coaster ride of rules and restrictions, and we did some outdoor stuff when we could, and that's always a lot of fun. Like, we like doing backyard concerts, so that's a bonus.
Yeah.
At Blair and Dan's suggestion, I think we started doing like weekly videos online where we try to do like a song a week. So that kept us busy throughout this, and we did that for a year.
52.
That's crazy.
52 videos in 52 weeks.
They kept it this.
Yeah.
Did it?
And
Well, some of those were done like when things were really tightly locked down. Like, we just recorded on our own houses and sent that all to Blair awkwardly, and he would smash them together and make a video out of it. And sometimes we were able to get together either like in a yard or in a house with masks, but it was just a variety.
Once it got nice out, we played around a lot of bonfires.
Yeah.
As we've seen in the recent announcements from the government and like coming out today, restrictions are easing up. Come March, it looks like most of them will probably be gone, if not very limited. I guess just what are your thoughts and feelings moving forward as we're kind of moving towards a life after COVID?
I'm overjoyed, but you guys can have your own opinions.
I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
I want to be overjoyed about it, but I don't want to have the rug yanked out from under me because I don't think I could take it.
Yeah, we've kind of had like
It's
we've
true.
had a couple false starts. So cautiously optimistic. Is
I would
good
say
way-
the big one was when the pandemic first hit was literally the day before we had our big show at the Park Theater before St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And up until like the Friday before the show, we were still saying, still on, we're still doing it. And like,
And everyone was in.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it just happened that, it was like dominoes, like everything else was canceled. And we're like, we don't cancel. Like, we don't want to be the event that's the super spreader event. You know, who knows what's going to happen? And yeah, since then it's just been, you know, you make plans and hope that they work out, and we're still there, you know. So we're gonna play it out as much as we can, and hopefully record an album later this year. But
yeah, that's our goal. The album we recorded last year, we hopefully will record this year.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do? Some things are very much out of your hands.
And like I say, you know, I'm like, there's nobody that's not ready for all of this to end, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be guarded about it. Like I say, just because I'm not sure that I can take it if we go back in and so I'm trying to be guarded about it so that I'm not crushed.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get your hopes up too high.
Yeah.
We're all done on my birthday.
I know. It's Ivanka's birthday is the day that everything is supposed to end for restrictions. So happy birthday to Ivanka. Or
sadness.
Sucker.
It's a weird thing living through a time like this. It's something that you hear in like history class, like the Spanish flu and all that, like something we never expected.
And you know, like everybody is, you're trying to find your way through it and stuff. But yeah, we've gone from playing, I'm not sure how many shows a year. We were, you know, you're playing like 100 shows a year down to playing like 8 shows a year. And so every one of those shows is like just so exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
The very first one we did, though, after the kind of big lockdown, and it happened just as everything was opening up. And that was the scariest show of all, though, because it's like we didn't get a chance to get together to rehearse for it or anything. We're like, you're rehearsing your parts on your own and then gonna go and play them all together. And is that even gonna work?
What show was that? I might have blocked it out.
Well, the Utah show that we did for the cultural festival for these guys, actually.
XQ's Lounge and Sargent.
Oh!
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
A year ago.
Yeah. And so we had been talking again all the time, and we thought, well, maybe we can rehearse a little bit over Zoom. You cannot. You cannot do that.
No, it's a bit of a nightmare.
So we thought, well, here we're just going to pick songs that a year ago we knew really, really well, and hope it all works out.
Yeah. And it seemed to be pretty good.
Yeah.
It was a good performance. Yeah. So you have plans for a new album this year. Is there anything else that the Dust Rhinos are hoping to do come 2022?
I'd say live shows is the big one.
Yeah. We have done a show called the Big Sociable we just did Big Sociable 5 was the one that got canceled, and we just played it October, end of October.
Yeah,
we played it. It was like 18 or 20 months after we were supposed to originally
we finally made
it. We finally made it. All of our guests who we'd rehearsed with and everything, because we invite a whole bunch of people to come, and so we have 15, 20 people on stage at one time, all playing each other's songs. And so there's a lot of rehearsals to it and stuff. Every single one of those guests were like, yeah, when it happens, I'm in. And they were all there. And so when that show went, that felt,
oh my God,
that felt really good.
It did.
And then Half Pints Brewery said, well, we want to sponsor this show, but we want you to do it twice a year. So the first one is in June.
Yeah,
and
that's the target. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, June 3rd.
We're not excited.
We're cautiously optimistic to tell you.
That's right.
Although we do have a great lineup confirmed for it. If we're allowed to play it, it's going to be amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We also booked a show with the West End Cultural Center for St. Patrick's Day.
Mhm.
2 days after they drop restrictions.
2 days after they drop all the restrictions. So cautiously optimistic.
New album.
Yeah, and then we've been working on the songs for new album. We're working with Leonard Podolak from the Ducks, and as our producer, and that has been great so far.
Yeah.
Like we've only got together with Leonard a few times back in the summertime now,
Yeah.
Some backyard bonfire
Yeah.
sessions.
and arranging the songs that we've written.
Yeah.
And going through the songs that we've written. We still haven't even played all of the songs for them because we haven't been able to get together enough.
Yeah.
But with some hard planning and some real good luck, maybe that album comes out this year.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yep. Hopefully those choppy seas are behind us. It's smooth sailing ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So where can people go to find out more about the Dust Rhinos?
Well, we're on all the social media sites and that, but we have our website is dustrhinos.com, and that's usually the best place to. It has all the links to all of the social sites as well. So you come there, and all of our gigs are announced there. There's music samples and video samples and things like that, and you can look at all of our pictures of when we played live shows. Because every live show we played this summer, we took photos of acts, and they're all up on that page. So, yeah, it's that's probably the best spot if you want to learn.
There's 52 new videos.
Yes, your YouTube site is like chock full of
If you'd
stuff.
like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.